Good morning, students, and welcome you all once again for the social class. Today, let us have a discussion on the next chapter of SSLC Social Science, that is the 1857 Revolt. Remember, this 1857 Revolt is also being called as the first war of Indian independence. It was being, remember, the British philosophers, the British historians called it as 1857 Revolt, whereas the Indian historians called it as the first war of Indian independence. Now in this chapter, we are going to have a discussion on what are the causes, immediate causes, scope and nature, failure and results of 1857 revolt. So let us begin with the reasons for the first war. Remember, when the British were going on with the administration in India, the British introduced two policies. One was the subsidiary alliance, and whereas the other one was the doctrine of lapse. See, with the support of these two policies, many states, British occupied many states with the help of these two policies. And when they occupied many states, we can see the rulers as well as the people of that kingdom all were dissatisfied, or you can call it as unhappy with this administrative method. And the other thing what we see is upset of British administration. See, on one side, because of these two policies, many states were occupied, and on the other hand, people were upset with the British administration. Why? Because they started introducing a new rule in India. And when they started this new rule, new administration system, it was very difficult for the citizens, or it was very difficult for Indians to understand the new systems. Okay. And also this made unhappy for most of the people. And due to this, there was a big protest. And this protest that took place against the administration of British. The protest that took place against the administration of British is called as 1857 Revolt, or the first war of Indian independence. Okay. Now let us see the next reasons for the first war of independence. What are the causes? In the causes, we will come across the first point, that is the political causes or the political reasons. What were the effect, or what were the political reasons here? Remember, in political reasons, the first thing that we see is the doctrine of lapse. The doctrine of lapse. Remember, this doctrine of lapse that was being introduced by the British, they occupied, or we can say they occupied many kingdoms. They occupied many kingdoms because most of the kings lost their kingdoms. Now, before that, let us know what do you mean by doctrine of lapse. In doctrine of lapse means it is hand over the kingdom to British if not having a natural heir. Means if any king do not have a natural heir means the natural successor or their own son. Okay. If they don't have their own son, in such cases they should hand over the kingdom to the British. Okay. This is what it was introduced by the British, and according to this doctrine of lapse, we see number of kings, they lost their kingdom. Example, you can take Satara. The ruler of Satara was not having a natural heir. he has to give it up. And then Jaipur, Jhansi, okay, as well as Udaipur. Like this, almost all these kingdoms were lost because they were not having the natural heirs. And we see Dalhousie abolished the kingship of even Thanjavur as well as Carnatics. The next what we see is the another activity of the British, that was Dalhousie abolished kingship of Thanjavur as well as Carnatics. Okay. And along with this, the one more effect that we see is, it is about that Dalhousie abolished the kingship of Thanjavur as well as Carnatic, and also he dethroned Mughal kings. That is, during that time, Shah Alam, who was the ruler there, Shah Alam lost his kingdom. And the British said that this person, he is not a natural heir. So when he is not a natural heir, how he can be the administrator? So they said the Mughal king, he is not supposed to become a ruler, and he is also not supposed to use the title or name as Mughal. When this went on, almost all we see that the king was depressed, and along with the kings, the soldiers who were the followers of this Mughal king, even they became in problem. Because what the British did, when the king himself is not a natural heir, when the king himself is losing his power, then how can the soldiers who are being appointed by this king be eligible? So what the British did, they not only dethroned the king, but they also eradicated, or we can say that they removed the soldiers from work. And once when they removed, they became unemployed. And this was another reason. So here the most important thing is the doctrine of lapse and the principles which were being, or the steps taken by Dalhousie. These were the main political causes. And along with this, the second one was the subsidiary alliance. So here, what is subsidiary alliance? You might have studied about this in the previous class. Subsidiary alliance is where the native king must become subordinate of British. Once when the native king becomes the subordinate of British, he cannot take any independent decisions. Whatever he is doing, that should be done according to the decision or according to the principles of British. And these were the two political reasons why the people revolted against British administration. Now the next we come across is the economical causes or economical reasons. See, in economical reasons, the first thing what we see is the industrialization of British. Okay. Once when there was a industrialization in British or in England, this affected in India. How the industrialization affect in India? It killed the handicrafts and cottage industries in India. Due to the industrialization of British, handicrafts and cottage industries in India were almost all defeated, diminished, or almost all they vanished, we can say. And they Apart from being an industrialized country, they even started a workshop of industries. Once when they started the workshop of industry, once when our cottage and small scale industries were closed, we can see that it affected on artisans. Now artisans became unemployed, and the weavers became the first victim as wool, because the main things was affecting was artisans became unemployed, and along that weavers, that is the one who were making clothes, these people became unemployed because the textile industries in India suffered a lot, because the British brought their industries product to India, and that affected us more. And Indian handicraft struggled like anything. It was in pathetic in the sense painful. The industries were in painful, and the artisans struggled like anything. And along with this, on one side, because of the industrialization, Indian handicrafts have closed, and on the other thing is Indian goods were to be paid high tax or custom to enter British market. If Indian goods were to be sold, they have to pay high tax. See, on one hand, our laborers lost job, our industries were closed, and on the other hand, it is also affecting on the marketing, that is where our farmers or our laborers had to pay a heavy tax. This was another effect for Indian farmers, or even it could be the Indian industries or Indian weavers. And then see, now we studied how it affected on industries. Now let us go with how it affected on land reforms. Remember, the British, what they introduced, the zamindari, or you can take rayatwari, or even you can take mahalwari. All these three that were introduced by the British were British favored. None of them were Indian farmer favored reforms. In this, you can see only the exploitation of farmers. There was only the exploitation of farmers. Land collection tax, which were given to here the zamindars, then the rayatwaris, that where the farmers were connecting directly, and finally the mahalwaris, talukdars. These people, almost all, they exploited the farmers. This is another reason for economical. And one more thing what we see in this is, see, now we studied how industrialization affected, how land reforms affected, that is these three systems. And along with this, we will come across Inam Commission. Now what is this Inam Commission? Inam Commission is, you usually remember this word, Inam means award, or you can say it as a reward or award. In those days, farmers used to get a reward from the kings. Farmers were given reward from kings. Now what the British did? They said, whoever got the land in the form of reward must return back. Means such land will be withdrawn by British government. Now just think, Indian rulers have given it in the form of award, which is called as Inam. And what the British did, they introduced an act saying Inam Commission. And according to this Inam Commission, all the land that is being purchased, all the land that is being given as a reward to the farmers must be given back to the British government. So when this happened, see, on one side, due to zamindari and rayatwari and other reforms, farmers struggled a lot. And on the other hand, because of this Inam Commission, again the farmers struggled a lot. Okay. And this led to a very hard time for the farmers. So the farmers also joined the protest. So now we studied the industry is closed, handicrafts and the craftsmen, all these people joined, artisans and the craftsmen. And because of this administrative failure, we can see, because of the land reforms, we can see even farmers also joined. Now we studied the two reasons, political and the economical reasons. Let us go with the administrative causes. Administrative causes of 1857 revolt. Remember, the British introduced civil and criminal laws. These civil and criminal laws which were introduced, these laws almost all they were only with partiality. Means these laws were applicable or applied only on Indians. These laws were not applicable for others. Others in the sense, they were not applicable for Europeans. Only Indians has to face these laws. And the second administrative defect was language, because British made English as administrative language. Now just think what could be the condition. Even today we people face lot of difficulties to understand English. But during that time, the British made English as an administrative language when people were not even literate in English. Now it is very difficult for a common person to understand the law. And see, one is civil and criminal law only applied for Indians. Language problem, where English became administrative language, even this affected Indians a lot. And the third one is judgment. In courts, the judgments were in favor of British only. None of the judge used to give any type of judgment in the favor of Indians. So these are some of the administrative languages. Administrative causes. Now next we need to go with military cause. Now what are the military causes or the military reasons for the 1857 revolt or first war of Indian independence? In military reasons we can see, remember, they were nearly lakhs. See, totally we see that the army of British was around nearly 2,80,000. Okay, 2,80,000 soldiers were working for British, and among this hardly 50,000 were British, and the remaining 220 or 230 whatever is there, these were Indians. Remember, they were the Indian soldiers.